Hi, my name's Corey Mayo, licensed realtor with Monument Sotheby's, and welcome to Who's in the House, your podcast for everything coastal Delaware. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you're updated every time I upload new podcasts or videos. And if at any time you have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse.de as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text 302-466-5511. Now sit back and enjoy this episode of Who's in the House. Welcome to the show. Super excited to have you guys on. It's been, the idea for the podcast has always been about obviously talking about real estate.
Yeah.
People that are coming down to the area that are looking to buy, build, or sell. But, you can get... Sometimes, I don't know, the content can get stale if all you're talking about is communities and houses.
Yeah.
So when I came up with the idea, the concept for the podcast, it was like bringing coastal Delaware to people that are thinking about moving down here. So that's, obviously the homes and communities, but also bringing in, I have a guy that's coming on in a couple of weeks. He makes candles out of plastics that are found in the ocean.
Oh,
it's just cool. It's just neat to see that kind of, there's that kind of stuff that's going on down here.
Cheryl actually has a neighbor, and I forget her name and everything, but she takes the sea glass that she goes to Slaughter Beach, takes the sea glass and everything, and makes these sea glass like images and sculptures.
Really?
Yeah.
I may have to reach out to Cheryl to get her information.
Yeah.
It's just neat. I think that people, when they come down here, they think it's a beautiful house. It's by the beach. And obviously we have a lot more to offer than just having a house by the beach. So that's where I thought that was important style of content to be able to deliver. But then also, rather than just talking about houses and communities, talk about the process. And that's where I was like, it'd be great. Obviously I trust you guys with all of my clients and the vast majority of them. So I figured, I'd love to have you guys on to kind of talk about what you guys do, why you guys do it, what you guys bring to the market, talk about some fun stories, horror stories, whatever. I'm sure there's plenty of both. But, from my perspective as being an agent, you and I met almost not quite day one, but sure close to it.
I would say it's about 4.5, 5 years ago now we first met.
Yeah.
We Rise Up Coffee.
Yeah.
And that was right when they opened, I think, too.
Yeah.
And we've been friends since.
Yeah. It's been, well, that's what's cool about this industry,
crazy
too.
how quick it went.
Yeah, I know. It's funny when you said 4.5 or 5 years, I was like, wow, it really
long.
was. And, back then, the idea for me when I was starting in this industry was all about focusing on new construction. And obviously things have changed, and I do plenty of resale now, still kind of that, that niche of new construction side of being the guy that's so educated on new construction. But that was where like you and I had started talking, with, you guys have packages now that are for new construction, which we'll talk about. But it was, I don't know. And I've worked with plenty of other home inspection companies that are out there, and I'm sure plenty of them are great. But I've also worked with some that we haven't had the best of experiences. But, with you guys, it has been, and I'm just, giving you your pat on the back. From my personal experience and my clients, you guys have been awesome. You have an awesome team. And shout out to Larry. Larry's my man. He's a good guy I always request. And I think that's just because of years also of just working together. So
I'm glad to hear that, because we do really try to give our best and do whatever we can to help everyone in this market.
Yeah.
Not only just the clients, but the realtors and anyone else, the builders, all that. We're trying to not only educate on the health of the home, but try to be there to help make the process smoother for everyone.
Sure. And I think that we were talking in the office before this, and you kept using this term, and it's kind of stuck out. I wanted to highlight this, this term, health of the home. And I think that really is key. I'm a very big, when I list homes, I'm a very big proponent of trying to be as transparent with homes that I list as possible. And I utilize you guys probably, if not for everyone, almost every listing that I've ever done for pre-listing inspections, because I think it allows us to deliver, and I use the word health also when I'm talking to my clients about we should do this, a clean bill of health. We're listing a home, and along with this is a home inspection, not from Joe Blow home inspector who, you know, the listing agent, you know, asked on the side, you know, just make sure it's a really good inspection. Here's a big name company. They've got a reputation to uphold. They're a franchise. They have franchise agreements that they have to, you know, be held to. And I think that's important. It's recognized. Most people probably world or nationwide, if not worldwide, you said you guys are in other countries as well, know the name, so they trust that. And I think that it allows our clients to list a home that's, you know, has that clean bill of health. Or if not, we at least know what it is and we can address it, or the buyers know about it ahead of time. Yeah,
we've been very fortunate with our franchise. We've been named 3 years running, actually, Best Home Inspection Company by Forbes Advisor.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
We just got announced it, I'd probably say about a week ago. We heard it from corporate that we got the third year, 2024.
That is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, to the whole team. That's great.
It was nice to hear. And our team, even just not only us, the franchise is like Cheryl's on councils with the franchise and corporate alone, trying to help all of our guys, because some of our companies, other Amerispecs and that, are just maybe one-man bands.
Okay. I didn't know that either. So.
Yeah, so we're probably one of the biggest out.
Okay.
And then there's a couple that are just one-man bands that are franchises. There's some that have multiple inspectors, but it all kind of ranges. But we get together, help each other out. We try to plan. We actually, I think it's this week or next week, we have a meeting to try to bring anyone can join from the franchises, and we work together to bat ideas off of each other.
That's cool. Just collaborate, and you're in non-competing markets always.
Yeah.
So you know, you're not competing against each other. So why not bring, you know,
exactly.
It's like a mastermind class almost of like, hey, this is what works for us, what doesn't work, and
that's what we
cool.
try.
Yeah.
Our corporate's very big into trying to help everyone. So it's really nice to have that and have a backing of the group we do from the team there.
Yeah.
So they put these meetings on, and they bring in the guys who are doing big business to help them with ideas.
Sure.
And take their ideas to the younger guys.
Well, I'd say some guys are starting off fresh, and they're like, how, you know, they're trying to, you know, find their way through the dark. And, you know, if there's someone that has a flashlight, why not use that to help them kind of speed the process along? To speak to the point that you just said, as far as your size, obviously you guys are one of the bigger home inspection companies down here. What is your coverage? What area do you guys service?
So we cover all of Delaware. We do cover, we don't market it, but we cover southeastern PA.
Okay.
Like if an agent asks us that needs a home inspection up there, we'll cover it if it's like a Delaware agent. And then we do Maryland. We'll do the eastern shore of Maryland some too.
Shores. Okay.
Usually if it goes too far, we don't touch into it too much. But if an agent from Delaware is asking us, hey, would you be able to do a home inspection for us? We're down to do it. But our main territory is Delaware.
Well, I mean, I think that's nice also, because there's plenty of circumstances, you know, for me being on the new construction side, the vast majority of it being new construction, I don't do as many clients that are buying and selling. You know, I represent a lot of buyers that are coming in from out of the area. But, you know, from out of the area, I mean, southeastern Pennsylvania, northern Delaware, and, you know, the eastern shore, Bethesda, all those types of, you know, areas in Maryland. It's nice that when we are contacting you to inspect their new build, that they can continue that relationship when they go to list their house and sell it. Also, like, kind of have that one-stop shop for the whole process on the buy-build side. Whereas if it's one of those smaller, just more coastal Delaware inspection companies, they would need to have relationship with two different. You guys also include that binder, you know, which is an online that kind of stores all their documents and everything all in one place. So they would have that for both properties.
So that is Home Binder. It is a online home management system. We provide it free with every home inspection.
Okay.
And it's really nice because, like, for me, I have my inventory of my house. If anything ever occurs, I have everything in this online system. Even if I ever lost my computer in that, like a possible fire that occurred,
sure,
all I have to do is possibly go home or to any of my coworkers, bring it up on their computer, and I have everything I need.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's where I was saying, so now if you have two properties, it's all in one spot. So that's really cool. Is that home binder just within your franchise, or is that, you know, company wide?
It is company wide.
Okay.
We have a good relationship with Jack. He's the owner of Homebinder. He's CEO. And we, if I remember correctly, don't hold me to it, but we introduced them to AmeriSpec, and then it's just been a relationship since then with them.
So if it was a client that was up in North Jersey and they were using AmeriSpec, I could say to them, talk to your inspector to see if they're utilizing Homebinder also, and if so, then it would put all in one spot. That's cool. It's nice. A lot of my clients utilize the Homebinder platform. I think it's nice to have that just included as a free service. You're not just getting a report, which is typically how it is. Here's your piece of paper. This is what we found. But there's something, more organic that's growing along with the process.
I think my biggest asset of it, that at least it's come to me, is not only that, but the maintenance reminders. I am on the go 24/7. And I'm an adrenaline junkie I love to be on the go. I love to go nonstop. But things pass very quickly.
Sure.
And next thing I know, I'm getting a reminder, hey, don't forget to change your HVAC filter. And I'm like, perfect, because I probably would have forgotten it. It would be a year later that I'd be changing it.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because we just don't realize it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
We'd be like, oh, it's been 2 months, a month and a half, and it's been 6 months flew by. And the last thing that's on priority on our list is changing the filter for our HVAC system.
Exactly.
The last thing. That's
always.
why, there are people that, and I'm sure that, I found it with home inspections. The home inspector goes through and it's they're looking at the filter, this obviously has not been touched. And not because of negligence, but they haven't changed that filter out in years and years because life is busy and people forget about it. So that's a cool feature.
It's just not something you stop and think about. Even working for a home inspection company, and I know what the damage that it can do, I still forget about it. It's just not something that's on my mind 24/7. Hey, a couple months down the line, you need to be changing this. It's something easily forgotten.
So when I worked for a builder before doing this, and we had always had this idea and just couldn't figure out how to kind of facilitate it from start to finish. So tell Jack this would be really cool. If they could put into their home binder the size filter, and it just every 6 months they had a credit card in there and the filter just showed up at the door.
So
it would be super cool.
I do believe he has that right now.
Awesome. Really?
I can't remember the company's name, but I think it's called Filter Easy that they work with on it. And you can put your size in and they'll ship them to your door.
That's awesome.
Because remember we used to work with a company and Megan told me about it. She's like, you could have it shipped to your door. Now I'm last minute Nancy. I just go and pick them up at Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
But to me, that's an asset. Because you don't think about
100%. So the reminders are the next level for sure, but so is the snooze button of oh, thanks for the reminder.
Exactly.
Hit snooze, and as soon as I hit snooze, now it's out of sight, out of mind. So if the filter showed up at my door as my reminder, it'd be oh, let me just swap this out real quick and be done with it.
Well, the other part about it for me is I always forget to take an image of the size, so then I run up. Go to pick it up, and I'm like,
totally.
There's multiple sizes. What's the size I need?
It is. It's wait, is it a 16 by 20? Is it a 24? You're kind of trying to envision the size. And of course, you're always going to pick the wrong one, without
every
doubt.
single time.
Yeah. Or you have the right one in your hand, and you're like, no, it's not. And you grab the wrong one, without doubt, every time.
I think Ace Hardware knows me by name because of the number of returns of filters that I've sent them. Brought them back.
So that's cool. We'll have to talk about that more because that's something, from a personal side for my clients, I think would be something that would be nice to kind of include with these little packages that I do for people. Because it is. And the filter, not many people know this, but from the inspection side as well, when they come through and they look at the health of the HVAC system, the filter is, think about, we all know what masks were like now during COVID. Imagine if you had a dirty, nasty mask that you had been using for 2 or 3 years, filtering all this dirt out, never changed it, never took it off. It was 24/7, always running. How you're trying to breathe with that thing's all clogged up. That's basically what the filter for your HVAC system is. So that's why every 6 months it should be replaced.
Well, even me, I'll go nuts because of my allergies, mainly pollen and that.
Yeah.
my whole face just crazy.
Yeah.
Swells up, my nose, everything. I need to keep that HVAC filter changed, and I always try to put in the best one that
Sure.
covers the whole pollen area because I could never do that and have it that way.
Yeah, and it just goes to and that those are things that during inspections that your guys see and find and will note. And again, I'm not trying to call someone out if they have a dirty filter. Doesn't mean they're neglecting their home, but
Correct.
it's just
something you
out of
forget.
sight, out of mind. But I think that you guys in general do a very good job. And this is just my opinion of representing clients from the buyer and sell side, both sides, in providing reports that are truly within the scope of what a client is hiring you to do. What I mean by that is I think that there are some inspectors out there that are providing reports on, no names and nothing, just kind of things that I've seen that are maybe to help deals close from one side or the other. And I think there's others that just, I don't know, they just feel that there's this obligation for me to have this massive list, and they'll pick out things like this piece of trim isn't properly touching, when where there's a joint, in which that's not really, I think, the inspector's job. Their job is to collect data of things that are health related. If you were analyzing a person, you wouldn't their health. You wouldn't say, well, their button's not buttoned properly. That has nothing to do with their health. So I think that the doctor or the home inspector, their job is to look at the health of the home, and you guys do a fantastic job of collecting that data and creating a report. I mean, even when I'm in there during inspections with Larry or Bud or any of those guys. What do you think? Things are going well. I'm going to get a report together and I'll send it your way. They don't give me their opinions because their job isn't, they're not an opinion based, they're database based people. And I think you guys have found an amazing balance on providing the data that a buyer or seller needs to either properly market and sell their home or to properly, purchase a home with proper knowledge.
All of our guys will state it. We are generalists, not specialists in an area. And we try to come in there and just give our knowledge that we have found by going through it. We're not there to pick the property apart or anything in those regards. We just want to give you, as I stated before, the health of the home, and then that's it. We'll provide it to you guys. We don't want to give our opinions on anything or tell you costs, things like that. That's not what we're there for.
Sure.
We're just there to help out and tell you, hey, this is what we found, and that's it.
But you guys also put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You guys also provide some, protection on the home post report as well.
So we have our 90-day guarantee.
Okay.
We provide it with every regular home inspection that we do. In new construction, we don't provide it on phase 1 and phase 2 because those are the ones while you're going through.
Yeah.
But on the phase 3 and the phase 4, which is the builder's warranty, we do. On our regular resale inspections, we do as well. Now, on our listing inspections, our pre-list inspection, we provide, instead of it being 90-day, we provide 120 because that property is on the possibly on the market and things like that. You don't know how long it's going to be.
Now, does that transfer to the buyer, or is that just with the seller always?
Just with the seller.
Okay. Which is great because it could be on the market and if they missed something or they have a home inspector. So how would that work if they had a home inspector come in also and they found something different from you guys? And I don't know the process. I'm just kind of shooting for that.
So usually you would want to come back to us. We do have limits with the guarantees, just like any guarantee you're going to have. But usually you want to bring it back to us. We'll provide you with a document to fill out and everything and images, and then we'll put it through our system and see what we can do for you.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We try to do our best to help people out, but you're always going to have issues. Possibly a storm just came through. Look at the high winds we just had that happened.
Yeah.
I think I had 3 or 4 shingles blow off my roof, and I just had a new roof put on.
Yeah.
But things do occur and stuff, so we just try to do it as extra protection because our guys are, I never want them to hear this, but are pretty good. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they're human.
They're very good.
I was about to say they're almost perfect, but we are human and mistakes do occur. And that's why we want to put that extra protection there so we can protect you and help you the best we can.
Yeah. And, to kind of what I was saying, you could have someone come in, another inspector come in. I mean, I've had experiences with a house that I was selling, and they had an inspector come in there from a different company. And I don't know what the circumstances were and why he was acting. Maybe it's just his personality. I have no clue. I'm not going to speak to that part. But the drama that inspector created by speaking, in my opinion, out of turn, making recommendations to the buyer. I wasn't there. It was the home inspector and the buyer. The other listing agent wasn't there, which I didn't even know. But, he's telling her that there's termites on the property because there's a 2x4 in the middle of the yard. He's saying that the roof needs to be replaced immediately. I mean, it was just like a laundry list of all these things. So we start having specialists come out, and every single point, I'm telling, like every single major defect that he not only just put up in a report, which he should do, it should be a report, data-driven report, but then he's giving his opinion, scaring this buyer, she was literally about to get out of the deal. And everyone was negative. Like the guy's telling the buyer it needs a brand new roof. The roofing guy comes out and he's like, "There's at least 7 years left in this roof," and this was their roofer, not ours. They hired a roofer. So, obviously there's always different opinions and ways, and that's where I think that specialist thing comes out. But I think that your guys do a really good job. Again, when I asked Larry, how are things going? Things are going well. I'll get the report together and send it over to you. I'm like, that's the perfect answer. Collect data, make a report, and then, you as me being the realtor, a specialist will do with that data what needs to be done to represent your clients, so.
We are not there to scare anyone and give our opinion on something where we're generalists for.
Sure.
We aren't specialists in any area. We generalize in the whole home.
Yeah.
With our guys, that's why in our reports we do write up, hey, we recommend further evaluation by a specialist, because with that information, it's better to have a specialist come in who's been doing this 24/7, specialized in this specific area, to take a look at it.
You guys do not do pool, correct?
We do not do pool.
So if you're looking at a property that has a pool and you want that inspected, you would want to then contact a specialist to then come out that specializes in pool inspections.
We won't touch into pool, stucco, and irrigation systems.
Yeah.
And lead as well. Lead paint. And that's because for lead, these two can be invasive. For lead paint, to get an actual good test, you need to chip possibly a piece off the wall. And stucco, you got to drill into it. So we don't mess with those because they're very invasive. Sure. A home inspection should be a non-invasive thing, unless we're in there for the new construction. That's the best you're going to get because you can see in the walls.
Yeah.
And then pools and irrigation system, we don't mess with them because they are a very specialized area. We recommend out. We have 2 people we recommend out to, and we'll let them know.
Yeah. So if that's a question, obviously we come into that. To lead into that point that you just brought up, new construction. So, that's no secret. That's an area that I specialize in. Probably the vast majority of my business is in the new construction or newer home world. And I utilize and I tell people all the time to give you guys a call when they're building, because not all builders are created equal. Some builders, they have different tolerances for their trades. Some builders have tighter tolerances, but they are still human beings that are nailing boards together and putting pipes and electrical together, and errors happen. And the best time to find it is before you close it up, so you can fix it easily. So I always just tell people, hey, look, it's so long as the builder is okay with it, which the good ones typically are like, sure, absolutely, because let's help us make sure that you have the best product that you can have. I always recommend you guys, and you guys have a product that's kind of designed around the new construction. It's not an adapted home inspection, like, okay, we'll just send a regular home inspector out to inspect a house that doesn't even have plumbing in it yet. Yeah. You have products that are specific to new construction.
Yes. So we have our 4-phase home inspection. Phase 1's framing and sheathing. Phase 2 is pre-drywall. And then our last 2 phases are full home inspection. That's phase 3. That's the final walkthrough inspection. And then phase 4 is the 11-month inspection. You bring us in 11 months before your builder's warranty runs out. And that's the main reason we do that, is because sometimes with the systems and things like that, you're not going to see it until you start working with it and running the systems for a little while. So we come back out, we do it before the builder's warranty's up, so then you can take everything back to them and supply them with the report and be like, hey, these are the issues we found in the time of us living here.
Yeah, I have a listing that I have. It's just over a year old now, and I guess the window manufacturer, it's like one of those like half moon, half arch windows. The glass was made a little bit tight for the frame. It fit, but then as it expanded in the summer, it broke the glass. So when you guys came through, obviously, it's funny, I guess, because it's high, the owner didn't really notice it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was brought up in the report. We did a pre-listing inspection on it, and we did this before her 1-year warranty was up. And so then we got noted, and it's actually being replaced today. When you and I were talking earlier, she just sent me a text. Hey, they're actually coming today. Yeah, which is cool. But it is, and I think that's really it's important. Number one, again, the easiest time to fix things that are behind the drywall is before you put the drywall on it, which is where all your mechanicals are: HVAC, electrical, plumbing, whatever it might be. And the good builders are totally open to like, yes, these are human beings that can potentially make a mistake, and let's just fix it.
It's just a fresh set of eyes on the home. And the 4-phase is my favorite inspection because it is the most thorough inspection you can get on the home because we're able to see everything.
Yeah.
The only way you can actually see into a resale home, like be in the walls, is thermal imaging.
Yeah.
And that's only so much. You're not seeing everything that way.
Well, and I think also, and this is, these conversations just spark thoughts and ideas, but, not that we build a home to sell it, but, things happen, and maybe, a year later or maybe 10 years later, you decide to sell your home. But as the buyer, you can say, here are my reports from when we had the home built. This is my sheathing, my pre-drywall. So like we were looking at this home with specialists that kind of went through, and we're looking at the home before each phase where they closed up and before we closed on it and a year after, to provide or support the claims of the quality of the home. Yeah. So it's nice to know that there were eyes on the structure of the home before it was closed up.
And it's just, like the builders they have so many people come through and they're looking at the home 24/7. It's just nice to have that that second pair of eyes on it, a fresh set, so you can take a look, because sometimes they're moving through the house trying to get it done in the time period that they have, and there's multiple people that come through.
Sure.
So it's just better safe than sorry. Have an extra person come through, take a look at it, and you'll feel more of a peace of mind.
Sure. Totally. Well, and so the way the building process works, which but a lot of the people that are watching may not understand, a lot of these homes are built by subcontractors. Yep. So the home inspector will have subcontractors do the framing, and then another one for the electrical, and so on. And I was on TikTok this morning, unfortunately, and I'm watching it, and one of them is this electrician who's putting a service panel in a stud bay, and it doesn't fit.
I saw this one
with the jack.
Yeah.
And he puts the jack in between the studs and like spreads it open. Yeah. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like that's just crazy. But the field supervisors, every builder is different. One of the main builders I work with, they tend to have multiple field supervisors per community. Yeah. The builder that I used to work for had multiple communities per field supervisor. So in that circumstance, you have one guy who's running multiple communities. I mean, how do you ever have such a tight, accurate eye on every home that's being built when you're looking at he's running 3 or 4 communities? So here's an example. This is a national builder, but I have some pictures that I took and that I got from you guys, and I won't say the house or the builder or anything, but there's a couple things that just drive me
nuts.
Like look at this. So this is a vent going through the floor joist, and look at the percentage of the floor joist that was cut out to get this vent through. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know how many more after that. I mean, I think you're only allowed, and your guys know better than I do, but at max 30% can be cut for that. This is almost 100% of it's cut out.
Yeah,
in a straight line. I mean, that's a legit weak point in the house.
Our guys look out for that. It is a major issue that we usually see with a lot of homes. It is actually one of our most common we do see, because when these subcontractors come in, their job's just to, hey, run the wiring, run the duct, run the plumbing, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
But there are certain limits to it, and we have found a lot of issues with that.
Well, and one thing that I think that a lot of builders will tout or they'll say is that, well, can I get my home inspected by a third-party home inspector? And they're like, no, but the building inspector for the county comes out. When you have someone like yourself that can come through, I mean, when I saw this picture, I almost fell out of my seat. I'm like, this is the floor, this is the structure of that home, and literally almost 100% of the middle is cut out for this duct. That's just dreadful.
We're usually out at a home inspection for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes longer depending on the size of the home.
Yeah.
But having that, and you're not only having that, you're having 4 phases. So our guys are out there 45 minutes to an hour on the first 2 phases.
Yeah.
But we're taking a thorough look through the home. Usually those guys, the building inspectors, they're there quick. They take a look, make sure they see everything that might be up to code and make sure of it. But they're not doing a thorough evaluation of the property.
Yeah.
They're looking for what they need to and what their job entails, and that's it.
Yeah. Here's another good one. This is just like a main structural beam that holds the house up. Nothing that's too important. You can see here the manufacturer puts these holes in this to you're supposed to drill through and bond it to that steel I-beam, and they're like, not only do you not have to use it, but it doesn't have to be totally underneath of it. The worst part about this, and it doesn't show in the picture, but your inspectors found that this beam was out of plumb. And so they got a report back from the builder that everything was fixed, including that was fixed. So I went over with my level, and they didn't even touch it.
Oh, really?
So you guys went back and
marked it up again,
looked at it again, and then they went back because they had to break up the concrete and move the bottom, which I don't know why they didn't just do the top, but whatever. It was just crazy. I mean, that's just like I don't know.
Our guys are very good with their knowledge, and they do all the training. We even have Spec Academy. So not only are they doing their regular licensing, but we also have a Spec Academy we send the guys to when it comes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's just like a secondary academy. We've sent I think about 4 of our guys to right now have been there. I've even been there myself. It was rough. And they are pretty thorough, mainly not going in as someone that is not a home inspector.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to pass the test that they gave.
You're like, whew.
I was sweating bullets on it. Larry's like, oh, I passed with flying colors. I'm like, I'm sweating bullets over here right now. But like, it's crazy to me, the knowledge the guys have.
It's a lot of information that needs to be in there. You need to know your stuff.
Well, it's when I even had my home inspection done on my house, townhome, 3 stories, but I was googly-eyed going into it. And I was like, this is where I want to be. This is the home I want. When I first looked at it, we were getting an offer ready as soon as we walked out the door.
Sure.
I had Bud as one of our inspectors come in and do the home inspection for us. He did it over the weekend so my parents could be there and see the property as well. And the nice thing about that was Bud found things I didn't even see myself.
Yeah.
And I've worked for the company at this point 3 years, and I'm not saying I know the knowledge of our inspectors, but I should be able to see a sign here if something's wrong. But I was so googly-eyed and tunnel vision onto this property.
And you're almost like willing to like, oh, I see that, but I don't want to look at it because I really want to buy this house and I love everything about it. So it's like, it's nice to get that unemotional report of like someone, my job is here to look at the house and find all the main structural defects of the home, not cosmetics, not the door on the kitchen cabinet is not quite centered and needs to be adjusted. It's like, come on. But real things. The best picture, so like if you don't have the bolts to bolt this up properly, you can always just use a ratchet strap and just strap it to the
it looks right.
It's I walked in. This home like this. This is a different house. This home was supposed to close in 2 weeks. This wasn't my client's house. This was one that they took us through to like, oh, this is what the finished product. I won't show you those pictures. But I was like, you've got a ratchet strap. Like there's holes right here to bolt it into the and you're
using a ratchet strap.
I'm like, oh my goodness, like and this is a
it's
great
like
one.
the duct tape. Duct tape fixes everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just put a ratchet strap
on it. You got it.
It's fine. This is a condensation line from the attic that comes down for the secondary HVAC system. It comes down into into this line here that would probably go to the sump. So they just come right into the middle of the room rather than why wouldn't you just tuck it into the bay and then come along with all the other mechanicals? Like
it's just odd placed.
It's because it's time speed. Like it was like, I don't know, probably was like 5 o'clock on Friday. Like just get it connected and just run the line there. We can't. Literally, it would have probably added 5 minutes, if that, even if that, to do it. But it's just funny. You see things done the way that things are done. But I love, and I don't think that this is industry facing or client facing. Is this public? This Facebook page, or is this a realtor page?
We created it. The whole goal of creating this page was to help answer questions for realtors.
Oh, cool.
During COVID and that, a lot of the newer generation of realtors that were coming up didn't have the opportunity to work with us hand in hand because sometimes they couldn't be out at the home inspection or worries of health. And you also they weren't able to work in offices where you were working with agents, veteran agents, learning from them as well. So we created it to help answer questions for realtors they may have from any perspective. It didn't have to be from one of our inspections and things like that. Now, we post pictures to give people knowledge ourselves, and Rob Graves, he's one of our managing partners now, he's running it for us, and he posts these pictures, and some of them are hilarious.
I was just going to say, this is good information, and for if any realtors are watching this, you should join this because there's good information on here, but it's also just fun. Like, that's how creepy dog. How creepy is that?
I'm telling you,
and the comments.
Some of our guys though have seen some weird things. Like Keith, one of our inspectors up north. Like, I would say it was the year I started. I was like, I have to ask, what are some of the craziest things you've ever seen? He's like, don't worry, I got a folder on my computer of all this stuff. And he showed me, he had like this baby doll head. And if I remember correctly, it was on a stake in this crawl space. Like the eye was like scratched off of it. I'm like, okay.
Voodoo
I'm like, some voodoo stuff going on. I'm like, I'd be crawling out of that crawl space. He's like, well, I got to do the inspection in the home. I'm like, when you see something like that, you run for your hills.
Meanwhile, the sellers put it down there to try to scare the guy out.
I was like, that was around the trending time. If I remember correctly, people were putting skeletons under their house. So once people dig it up, they're seeing these things freaking out. Like they're putting like those fake anatomy ones you saw on the side of glass.
Can you imagine? This is a good one because
this was good.
The only thing better than stairs is a slide. I love this one. That's if you need to remotely flip your switch. So these are all just like really, really fun things. It's funny. This is what triggered me to pull up those pictures because, again, this is structural integrity of the home and this is where that builder, the community / field supervisor ratio is important because the trades, it's not all. A lot of these trades will work for multiple builders. They just know that every builder has different tolerances. So builder A would come in and say, if I ever see you do this again, like you won't be working for us again. And other ones just don't ever see it, or it's within their tolerance of what they allow. But you should never be cutting the flange, and even that's probably even too much of the web that's cut out here. But that's just it's funny. I just see.
Well, it's the other aspect. A lot of these guys, like I said before, are specialists in their area.
Yeah,
and for that aspect, they're not always. Like, they could make mistakes. Like, things like this do occur, and that's why having someone that's just a generalist on the whole thing.
And fresh eyes, to your point. And I think the fresh eyes is what's key because you kind of get tunnel vision sometimes when you're working on a project. And by working on a project, a home inspector that's building the same home and, down the line, is used to seeing the same thing day in, day out, whereas your guys are always fresh eyes, first time seeing that property. Never been in that property before, and they're coming in. So that's a very good way. I just do think, and I think that, it's all case by case, and,
Exactly.
for the realtor and their client, if they're building a home, they should have a discussion with their realtor about, should I have my new construction home inspected or not. I always advise it personally for my clients. It's just how I work with them. I think that it's good, but every circumstance is a case by case.
But then you see things like that if you go back up. Those are things that are just interesting.
Yeah. Oh, what, this one? It's like
both of them.
What exactly is going on here? It's always whenever these posts come up in my feed, it's always just like, all right, you can't just look at it. You have to look at it and then continue looking and be like, like what is it? Oh, yes, there's a downspout right above the main electrical panel here.
Like, I don't know what the thought process with some of these were.
Or this, just stuff like why would stuff be dripping out of an outlet? It's so funny. It really.
Oh, here's the
this is the turtle one you're talking about.
So if you look at the wording to it, and he put it in there, like help them look for Donatello and things like that. But I was like, where's Splinter as well? I was like, we need the rat here for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And it's funny because you just never know what you're going to find. I unfortunately, I've had some crazy things come up in reports before, but nothing that's really fun. Like, I don't really have any like great stories or anything. It's always like, oh, whatever isn't working properly. It's like the normal stuff.
So our guys will say it. They see something new every single day, and they're learning something new every single day. And when they first told me that, when Sean told me, one of our inspectors up in Newcastle County told me that, he's like, you're going to see something new every day when you're here. He's like, you're going to learn something new. Just be prepared, be willing to soak it in, and you're going to have great laughs for some of the stuff you're going to see. And I was like, okay, didn't take much to it. And I hold it to this day that I am going to see something new every day and learn something new every day.
Sure.
Because every home's different. Yep. Every home is special in their own certain way. Even if you're purchasing from a builder, it was built possibly on a different date, different time, different weather.
Absolutely.
Every home's different.
Yep.
And that's just how it is.
Yeah. So, some builders, are stick building. And so if it's during the spring, that's rainy season, things could be whatever. So it's nice to have that fresh set of eyes, on the build side as well. And again, I am a big fan for my clients, especially because I do a lot of, I tend to, on the list side, I sell a lot of newer homes. Let's deliver that clean bill of health. And not only that, I've found that the number of offers that we get that are not contingent upon home inspection, because we delivered them already, a 50-some page, fully detailed home inspection report from you guys. They're like, I feel really confident now. They don't have to feel pressured into making an offer that's not contingent, so that way they get the house that they want, or maybe they're going to offset their price with no contingency. They can feel really confident with that because you guys already did it, And here's, again, not from Joe Blow's home inspection. It's from a reputable company. Yeah. So I think it's important. I think that, I've always appreciated what you guys do. You guys are always there. I love the follow-up afterwards that you guys are. It's more than just a transactional, purchase or, a transaction that goes on between you and a buyer or seller. You're following up with me. How did your clients like everything? How did everything go? It's meaningful. I mean, even down, you guys think of it even down to the point like we were talking about when I got my daughter's a puppy for Christmas, and I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks later, a bone treat showed up with, his name's Dewey, with Dewey's name written on it. And like you guys saw on Facebook that we got the girls a puppy, and like you guys are just very involved with the community and like kind of what's going on here. And I think that's super important, especially because you guys also have a pretty big footprint compared to other inspectors to be able to do that.
When I first started, I learned a lot from our owner, Cheryl. She's
awesome. She really is fantastic.
She will, any time of the day, she will pick up that phone and try to help as much as she possibly can for someone. And she's ingrained that into not only me as a person, but everyone that follows under her. Like you're talking Megan, Rob, Lisa, Brittany. Like we all just want to help everyone and do the best we can to provide the best service we can.
Sure.
And it's very great. We have a great group and team. We have 5 going on 6, possibly 7 inspectors. And we've been very fortunate to keep most of our inspectors through COVID and things like that. So we have a great group of guys. And then we have a great staff team too. Like when you call in, you're going to always have a Delaware-based team. You're not going to have someone that's just a call center. You're going to have staff that is a part of the company. And you're going to have like people like Brittany, me, Megan picking up the phone. You'll even get Lisa and Cheryl at times on the phone as well.
Yeah.
And you get to know them. Usually you'll see us out in public. Most of the time you'll see me, Megan, Cheryl out in public. But Brittany and them, you'll be able to check out their face on our website and everything. So it's giving you someone that you can trust and people that you can know.
Sure.
Like, yeah, we are a bigger company and we have multiple inspectors. But all of our guys have trained with each other and have trained each other. We have a couple of our guys have trained pretty much all of our guys.
Yeah.
So, and these are guys who've been reputable, have always been doing home inspections for as long as I've been here, maybe a couple years before that. But they've done thousands of them. And we couldn't ask for a better group.
Yeah.
Guys and staff all together. So.
Well, and again, I think that they find that balance of to go back to your initial statement on home health, of providing buyers and sellers with a report that is based on the health of the home, the same way the doctor would for you, and not looking at your glasses are crooked or you haven't shaved or whatever. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the health of the home, and they do a very good job of being thorough with that, but not also going overboard just to what can I find to put on a report because they paid me money. I mean, ultimately, we would love to see a report with only like 1 or 2 or, theoretically 0 items on it. No, I don't. I'm not paying you just to give me a laundry list of silly things.
Yeah.
So they've found that balance. So I really appreciate what you guys do, what you guys bring to the market. Literally just had an email yesterday come out from one of our agents of like, hey, I need a home inspector. Who do you recommend? And of course, I said you guys, and not for any other reason. I just really trust what you guys bring to the table and what you guys have brought to our industry here. Primarily for me in this coastal Delaware area. Obviously, you service a much bigger area, but you guys do a good job of caring. Which is bringing an emotional thing to what should be a non-emotional or unemotional transaction. So
yeah, the company's been since 1995. She started the company in 1995, our franchise, and we've done at the beginning of the year, I believe we hit 58,000 home inspections we've performed since then.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is a lot. So
a lot.
Yeah, that's where all that experience comes in. But no, that's great. I appreciate again everything you guys do, and let's do a follow up and kind of see. Let's keep it rolling. Maybe next time we'll focus on crazy stuff, and we'll bring in some of those pictures that you said that he's got on his desktop.
Yeah. I'll have to reach out to Keith, be like, hey, send me some of those pictures. I need some of those like insanity pictures, because like Bob, before he retired, what was crazy was he told me a story. House looked great up on top, and then he was making his way down to the basement. They went and opened the basement door, and the septic was backing up into the house.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah. So
can you imagine?
Yeah. I would have looked at me and the buyer and just slowly closed the door.
So we're gonna start there.
Yeah.
That's number 1 on the report. Septic,
and that's like that's not something we see very often. That was one time he's seen it.
But it's just funny. It's one of those stories. It's like I will never forget that. Like that's one of those like moments he'll probably never forget. So.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like I said, let's do some follow up. Maybe I'll have Cheryl on. She can come in and chat.
That would be a time.
I'm sure. Awesome. But thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Glad to. Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Who's in the House. If you still have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse, DE as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text any questions to 302 888-466-5511. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And in the meantime, keep an eye out for our next episodes. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.